the war that is conservatism versus progressivism or
Mm,
leftism.
yeah.
Typically we as Black Americans have to do some splaining when we aren't obviously leftists or progressive
Right.
thinking, because you supposed to be thinking like massa, and you not.
Yes.
So why?
Absolutely.
My Lord, down by the river.
Put him in A flat, y'all.
And so I wonder what the connection to your and your husband's being a business owner has to do with the fact that you are conservative-minded Americans.
Well, the thing is, we did not start out that way.
Mhm.
So our journey is the grace of God. You can see his hand through the whole thing, but I actually used to be a leftist.
Mm.
I married my husband as a leftist. He was a conservative, but he would never have labeled himself that. He
Mhm.
always has held to conservative values. But like I said, I was a leftist. And during the course of our marriage, my worldview started to change. And then when the Lord saved me, then it was like, oh, by default, I can't even be this anymore.
Mm.
And so that change impacted how we did business. Before, before as a leftist, I would have wholeheartedly bought into the identity. I'm a pro black and I'm a black owned business, and you need to support me because I'm black, and woe is me, and we don't have funding because we're black. Like, it would
Yeah,
have
yeah,
been
yeah.
that. However, what I realized, we started the business and I kind of was thinking that way.
Mm.
And then what changed for us is when I went to my first industry trade show, and I was exposed to the whole international world of home furnishings, where people descend upon High Point, North Carolina from every corner of the world to meet new vendors. And there's all this networking going on. And I'm talking with Syrians, I'm talking with white folks, I'm talking with Africans, I'm talking with all these different ethnic groups. And I started noticing how they were moving in the world and with each other, and how the free flow of information was not inhibited because of my ethnicity. There were people who did not look like me, who just sitting across, a cocktail and some finger food,
Mm.
business is happening. Information, valuable information that people paid thousands of dollars for, was just being handed to me simply because I was in that industry. And when we got home, we had a wake-up call. We were like, no, we have got to abandon this. Woe is me. We're not further along because there's this oppressor. It wasn't that. It was our
Mentality.
mindset and the
Mm.
mentality and the worldview. And once that part of your mind gets opened, then you start to see, it's like you start to see the world completely different.
Yeah.
And the way you interact with your customers begin to change. And now before, when someone would come into our store and say, are you a black owned business? We would be so proud and want to have this grandiose discussion about that. Now, when they ask, it's different. It's like,
Explain that a
whoa.
little bit. So, what would even be behind the grandiose response of being a Black-owned business?
Just idolatry, just wanting to be proud for the sake of being proud. Like, you could have put your key in the door 3 days ago and haven't even turned $1 in profit yet. But it's like, it's the virtue signal of it all, just to be like, I'm black and I own a business. Like, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
because we're not supposed to
you've
do
just
stuff like that. Right,
accomplished
yeah,
something.
yeah.
These dermal features of yours do not empower or enable you to do anything better than someone else.
Mhm.
And so I think it just comes from, it's a false ethnic pride. And the reason why I say a false ethnic pride, because we'll want to check the box when we think it's going to benefit us.
Mhm.
But when it's time to actually have to do the hard work and compete, it's like, oh, well, I'm a black owned business, so I can't,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
behind. I don't have
Mm.
what everybody else has. See, if
Mm.
I had so it leads into covetousness, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Oh, it makes 100% sense. I think from at least 2016 up till now is the most I've heard inside of churches where they condone covetousness. I think the social
Right.
justice movement is rooted in lacking contentment and covetousness.
Facts.
And you know, you talked about when the hard work comes. I feel like y'all give clarity on this, that when it comes down to that mentality, there's this idealization that happens when it comes to something like owning a business or whatever, where the goal is to be able to say you did it rather than to do something well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
So like you said, you could just put your key in the door 3 days ago, but now you got the posts, you know, you got the parades coming out because you now own a business, and you can say that you own a business, and that was the goal. But when it comes down to
Right.
owning a successful one,
That's where the hard work begins. That sustainability, that scalability, that is the difficult part. That's where you're really tested to be like, oh, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for this, you know, because you're like, this is hard. Like, these people are difficult. You know, taxes are kicking my butt. You know, regulations are just in the way. There's so many things that you're like, and when I say in the way, I'm not talking about demands in the way, but there are just certain, I hate using this term, structural things, but they're not just Black people experiencing them. When I talk with other ethnic groups that are in business, not necessarily the same industry, we all have the same complaint. We hate going down to the county to do anything. We're like, they're going to give, if you need a permit for something, they're going to give you a hard time, and they're going to give you the runaround, and they're going to stress you out. And it's just the bane of your existence. But what I find is that, like you said, so many people that I've encountered, they want to own the business, but they are unwilling to do the blood sacrifice, the sweat, the tears. They literally want it handed to them. Right. They just kind of want you, or they want it fast. Like, it needs to be right now. It's like you came up with the idea yesterday and they want the baby born tomorrow.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Let's put a pin in that real quick. We got to stay here because that puts to words our frustrations, what we've experienced. So there's a mall, a Rundle Mall, that's what 30 minutes from Baltimore. Right. Yeah, about 30 minutes from Baltimore. It's a casino there, Maryland
It's
Live
near,
Casino.
I would say, I guess a good landmark would be the airport.
I want to say probably
airport.
a decade ago, maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago. Ravens were our football team was either recently Super Bowl champs or just very close to being Super Bowl champs. And in that mall, there was a booth of our greatest rival, somebody selling Pittsburgh Steelers paraphernalia. And he's a Black guy, you know, and you encountered this guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we both encountered him at separate times. And you know, you walk in and it's like, hey man, we got some Steelers stuff. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Take a guess what he said to me next. Come on, man. It's a Black-owned business. It's black-owned business.
I hate that.
It's Black-owned business, man. You ain't gonna support. You're not gonna support. I'm like, bro, that doesn't make any sense. You're in Baltimore, Pittsburgh Steelers stuff. This stuff bigger than your skin, boy. You know where you are.
Right. So that frustrates me and annoys me. And then it also frustrates and annoys me when they ask, and it's not like they're asking because it really means it's not going to trigger any sort of measurable actionable steps from them. They just want to know so that they can be like, you know, so they can just congratulate you, but it doesn't really translate into dollars. I'll give you a prime example. Today, my husband called me so frustrated. I'm so sick of y'all. I was like, oh Lord, what we do now? And he's like, this customer came in. Okay, I'm not going to give names so that I can protect people's identity.
All right.
But there's a very large, popular furniture store that this customer had just come from with a picture and a price of what they wanted. And I happen to be an authorized dealer of said furniture manufacturer. So we're like, yeah, okay. You know, my husband's like, I carry that. And so it was like a sectional and an ottoman. and it was $9.99. Now, I don't know the last time y'all purchased furniture, but $9.99 is not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money at all.
For a sectional and an ottoman.
And
so like we're like, yo, that's a good deal because we sell that joint for $1,300. Like that's our price. Now we didn't manufacture it, we retail it, and we don't mark it up. But sometimes there might be a particular SKU that the manufacturer's trying to get rid of, so they'll mark it down. $9.99. So we were being gracious. We're like, all right, if you really want it, we will match that price. Essentially, we were giving the ottoman away. We wouldn't have made any money on the ottoman, but just so that in good faith, like, okay, well, you did come from all the way over there and you're here. We sell it. We can get it for you. We'll match it. That wasn't good enough.
Oh no.
Nah, you can't go no lower. Dude, I just gave you a free ottoman.
Yeah.
You just left there. You already know how much that one is. Then, you're dealing with your people.
Yeah.
We're matching you. We're matching you. He ain't want to buy it.
Yeah.
That's what we got to deal with.
Yeah.
They want it for free. They just want you to give it away. Forget the fact you got to feed your family, keep a roof over your head.
Well, because you have an allegiance, April. And that allegiance is to people who share the same skin color. Do they have an allegiance to you? No.
No.
But you have an allegiance to them, and you better not go against it. I'm curious.
As soon as she said doesn't translate the dollar, I knew exactly what she meant.
What do you mean? So give background first on what you are as a business owner.
Oh, okay. I own a dog grooming business. So, you're in retail, I'm in service. So I'm sure there's, the same kind of situation.
Help you.
But I've gotten to experience the best of both worlds, because I do business in Baltimore where the clientele looks more like us.
Okay.
And then I have clientele in Silver Spring.
That good old condescending money, but that's money though.
Where the clientele doesn't look like me.
Right.
And I've noticed a difference. I've experienced exactly what you're saying, and I live in Silver Spring. So typically if I'm grooming, out of the goodness of my heart, I'm driving to Baltimore because I don't want to leave them hanging. It's about a 15-minute drive to go care for customers that may not find a groomer that they like. They're used to me. I used to live in Baltimore. I move away.
Okay.
Like, oh no. So I come back to groom their dogs. They don't want to pay what it costs. Ultimately,
it's like, why can't they get a discount? Why can't your service just be run of the mill, cheap for the low?
Yeah, they wanted almost. I sent like a blast email to my clients at the beginning of the year, with a new pricing breakdown of what my prices would be. And,
how dare you?
Why they were going up?
How dare you?
Right. And all the Baltimore clients, almost all of them would message me individually. For me too, because everyone they think they're
you
all
lying.
No, they're all me too.
Like, am I included in that number?
Me too. But then my customers in Silver Spring, oh wow, I'm so happy for you. Good for you.
Different.
Good for you. And I remember you guys, you were talking about I've been to the same like grooming expos. I used to think that I was I still am a minority, a black male in sort of a cosmetology business.
Right.
But going to a groom expo in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, you see so many different types of people.
Right.
And I've made friends, male friends that live in California, all over the place that are groomers. But we've all noticed the same thing. And so there's a specific clientele group that we all appreciate. That's usually Jewish.
Wow.
In the service industry, a Jewish man, a Jewish customer will, if they're using you, so is everyone in their community because they're loyal to one another.
Right.
If they get good service, they're going to tell their neighbor, hey, Miss Yolman, whatever. I want you to right. I want you to have good service too. Use my friend Darren.
Yeah.
Here's my entire condominium. Black people. You wasn't available, so I went down the street and they messed my dog up. So can you fix it for free? That's.
You don't even want to know. I wonder if they do this to you. while you tell them how much it is, then they stand right in front of you and call your competitor and be like, how much you charge to and you be like, oh, I'm right here. I'm right here.
They'll ask me, yeah. Do
Do
you know how much Petco charges?
Yeah.
I can get you the number.
I ain't gonna say, oh, you friendly. Right. I don't do business with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could Google.
Did I tell you about the time I got like berated by, I was in Arundel, the same mall. No, this is outside of my business.
Oh, okay.
More along the Black-owned business theme, but I was in Arundel Mills Mall. I got twice in one day. So there was a guy just at a kiosk in the middle of the mall. You're walking by and they grab you up, try to get you to buy something. And I'm looking at his kiosk and I'm like, this doesn't look too good. You know what I mean? Like, what's on here? And so he hands me like this book. He's like, hey, brother, go ahead, read this. And I'm looking at it and it's poetry. I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking he's passing out for free because it's poetry.
Right.
And so I'm looking at it. He said, you want to help Black-owned business? I said, and he said, we got to sit together. We got to get Trump out of office, man. I said, you assumed so much just now. You assumed.
Wait a minute. So putting Black-owned, like sprinkling the black on top, does it make the poetry better now that I know that?
Right. I told him, I said, look, man, you assume so much. You assumed I like poetry. You assumed I want to pay for it. You know what I mean? And you assumed
I didn't like Donald Trump.
Yeah, you assumed I hate Donald Trump just because I'll be somewhat look-alike.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I said, this is not a good business. It's not a good idea.
You told him that?
Yeah. I said, how much have you made today? How many sales? Yeah. Can't be any. Yeah. You ever think, I'm gonna go to the mall and buy some poetry?
Who does that? Well, he may have gotten some sympathy sales. Like some people just feel bad. Like, let me just.
I'll give you $10. I'm not buying that.
Right. I'm like, you can keep the book. I've done that before. I'll be like, please, no, keep it. I don't want
this. Like, your poem. This is your pride and joy. You keep it. You know what I mean? You wrote these. But and then it's a short walk down the way. It's the guys with the shoe cleaning, right? They got the kiosk and they want to clean your tennis shoes. So if you wear tennis shoes to the mall, they stopping you about, let me clean one of your shoes. They make one of your shoes clean. Now you got to buy the thing to clean the other one, right? So I tell them, I said, no, I'm okay. You don't want your shoes clean? No. I mean, we are Black-owned business. Yeah. I said, I still don't want my shoes clean.
Now I really don't.
I said, and I told him the same thing. I said, look, why did you say you're a Black-owned business? Why did you say that?
Right.
Because if that is your marketing strategy in Arundel Mills, you siphoned off like 90% of your business. Yeah. You have you're in Arundel Mills. If you don't know, Arundel Mills is a very white area.
Oh, I'm familiar with Maryland, DC, Northern Virginia.
White area. And culturally, they don't care about their shoes.
No.
So if you want a successful shoe cleaning business, you need to come
around the way
to the hood.
Yeah.
Not here. And you don't use that as a marketing strategy because all the white people are going to go, not for me.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of the points that I can't remember if I said it on Monique's show or not, but I realized if you have a business and you happen to be ethnically Black, just focus on creating a good business that services the needs of the community. Because think about it, if the shoe was on the other foot and a white person who owned the business was like, well, we're white owned.
Right. Yep.
You would be like, okay, I'm offended. But we never think that it's offensive for us to just shout, splat it all on the front, Black-owned business.
Yeah, right. We don't care. They don't care because it's untouchable, like we were talking about beginning. But